Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. We're starting off with a big thank you to Carolyn, who sent me this pamphlet that you're looking at. That's the front of it. And the inside, very nice. This was handed to her at church, and she forwarded it to me. Lovely. Thank you so much for your thoughtfulness. This is really interesting. All right. Once again, lots to cover, lots to look at. Let's just jump in with both feet and get there, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off with Eugenie, who, according to Fergie, was due at the end of May. So, her time must be coming up. She and her husband were walking around London over the weekend. They were shopping. Now, before anybody says anything, I know they're going to say, we've seen this dress on her 3 times. Well, I got to be honest, guys. When I was pregnant with both of my kids, I only had like 2 pairs of jeans. Sometimes I'd wear my husband's sweaters. I never bought dresses. I mean, who wants to spend a lot of money on pregnancy clothes that you really only wear for like 5 months, and after you've had 2 children, you're never going to wear them again? So, before anybody says anything about the fact that we've seen that dress before, who cares? Anyway, I think she looks fabulous. All right, moving on. Next up, I've told you guys before that Zara and Mike were at the Monaco Grand Prix, but what everybody was really talking about was her outfit. It just looked so nice, and she had worn that dress before at the Platinum Jubilee in 2022 with a different bag. The dress sells for $850 or 688 pounds. I've told you guys before, I love the fact that these two were just so down to earth and unpretentious. And that came out when the two of them jumped on an Air France plane in the economy section to fly back to London from Nice. What do you think of that one? So unpretentious are these two. They went to the regular departure lounge. There was another guy on the plane who told the newspaper that he took selfies with Mike before he got on the plane. But they said everybody just left them to mind their own business, and that Mike was very friendly and was a bit tired, probably from partying. All right, moving on. Next up, just while we're talking about Zara, Meghan's PR team is digging, trying to find something nice that she might have done. And they came up with one little thing. Are you guys ready? Apparently, at the Platinum Jubilee, we know that when Harry and Meghan came out of the church, Peter Phillips and Mike and them blatantly ignored them. But here's what happened between the rest of them, okay? So Harry and Meghan walked out, and it was pretty obvious that nobody was really talking to them. And then all of a sudden, Harry looks at Zara and goes, "Love your outfit. I didn't know what color you would wear. Blue, pink, orange." And then all of a sudden, Meghan looks up and goes, "You look great." To which Zara didn't say, "Oh, yes, you do too." Zara cut the conversation, and then they walked to their cars. Cheesy. She was trying to engage in conversation, and Zara wasn't having any of it. All right, moving on. All right, this next story is about Camilla. Everybody was asking, should she outlive King Charles? Now that she's not queen consort, she's just queen. The letters paint and went, So what happens if she lives longer than Charles? Well, what will happen is William will become the king, and when William takes the throne, Camilla's title will change from queen to Queen Dowager, which means she is the widow of the queen. Very interesting. The most recent example that was given was Queen Elizabeth's late mother, Elizabeth Lyon, who was married to King George VI and who was known as the Queen Mother. However, Camilla has no bloodline to the throne, so her situation is a little different. Next up, King Charles. He decided to honor all of the Navy personnel who took part in Queen Elizabeth's funeral procession. He gave the Royal Victorian Order to about 150 naval personnel. That's a lot of people. So he hosted a parade and a medal presentation at Windsor Castle today. Now, they were appointed to the Royal Victorian Order by Charles in March as part of an honor list. And this list apparently comes out after a sovereign dies to recognize those who provided an important personal service to them during their reign and afterwards. So the band was playing, they came up that long walk area, and as soon, of course, as Charles arrived, there was a royal salute and they played the national anthem. Now, I think Charles was asking people, how did the training for the funeral go? Did the new boots hurt your feet? There was just a lot going on. Now, interestingly enough, in the middle of all of this, I love the fact that one of the people that the Daily Mirror, now we know the Mirror, this magazine is so pro-Sussex, it's almost a joke. Everything that I've shown you before that they post is negative King Charles, negative William, and pro Meghan and Harry. But in this case, they put something interesting down. One of the people that he was giving this award to was a woman who's like 7 months pregnant. I love that. She took part in the event. Her name is Miss Chambers Smith. She was one of the 98 naval ratings that pulled the state gun carriage. She, stood out because she was wearing a blue summery dress due to her pregnancy. It was very sweet. He asked her when the baby was due, when she's going on maternity leave. Apparently, it was very sunny. It was very hot. She said herself that she just managed to do the first rank and then she had to go and sit down, that it was, just too much for her, which, I get it. Now, this gift is the King's personal gift. It's given independently of Downing Street. So you should know that they're talking about the cost of the funeral and all of that, which I don't care about. That was a worldwide event. Now, when it was over, Charles went over to talk to the family members who had been standing around, waiting and watching and very proud of their family members. Now, I'll tell you what made me proud, and that is that 7 men collapsed in the heat waiting for this to happen. And yet this heavily pregnant woman stood there the whole time proud. Good for her. All right, moving on. All right, I just wanted to touch on this article. What this article was talking about is that basically Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has this royal thing down. So like, for instance, when they're in the coaches, you can sometimes see Charles or Camilla, sometimes, almost, and then you look at Kate and there she is. She makes sure that she's visible. She's had years of practice. She knows how to do things perfectly. She knows when to smile, when to be serious, and people love her. Yeah. All right, moving on. All right, let's move on to Zara. She's gotten herself in a little bit of trouble. Apparently, she had a media investment firm. She was among a group of directors. She's been made business loans, but she didn't pay them back. Gate Ventures invested in West End Productions of Sunset Boulevard. They made more than $500,000 worth of unexplained loans to Zara, including £232,000 to her tea and dinnerware company, Ginger and Moss. But she has not repaid the loan. In an effort to get rid of this, they made a really low repayment loan offer, and it was so low that it was rejected. All right, let's move on to Harry and Meghan. The articles are coming out saying that basically Harry just wants to damage the monarchy as much as possible. And this is also going on during his civil cases that he has against the tabloid media. He's upset, in my opinion, that he's not king, that he's not in line to be king. I think that he's jealous of his brother. He's always been jealous of his brother. But what he's trying to do in his mind is do something with the system that he says exists between the royal household and the tabloid media. So far, his case right now is in the toilet because his attorney has not provided one iota of proof of any of his claims. You know, the articles are coming out. Harry wanted out of the royal life and just wanted an ordinary life. That's what he said. I spent years kicking my heels. I don't want to grow up, he admitted. He wanted out. But you know what they say about the grass always looks greener on the other side? Because here is a man who's almost 40, who's never held a real job, whose life has been paid for him. And now look at his face. He's miserable. Yeah, I think Meghan knew he wanted out and she used him. Remember what Harry said, it's a fishbowl, they're trapped. And yet this is the same guy who insisted on giving his children the prince and princess titles and is now suing for IPP status. Yeah, he's not missed. He really isn't. All right, I just want to touch on this because of Shouty Shola and her constant reparation crap. This article is about a woman, Elsie Hughes, and she did a ton of research from her home on a remote British outpost of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. Now, for those of you who don't know, Napoleon was exiled there. But anyway, according to the British National Archives, between 1808 and 1869, the Royal Navy seized over 1,600 slaver ships globally and freed over 150,000 Africans that were shackled on board. Right. So maybe when talking about reparations, Shouty Shola should go back to her family, who's, she's royal descent, and it was her family that used to round up the people, stick them in cages, put them on the beach, and sell them. So it seems to me her family should be making reparations before anybody else. Moving on. All right, we're going to move on now to the Middletons. And Mr. Palmer here put up a tweet reporting on how Carol and Michael Middleton have left taxpayers with a $200,000 tax bill. But is that accurate? What actually happened is Carol and Michael Middleton sold the business. Now, we're not being told how much it was bought for, but it's in what they call a pre-pack administration. The company went down as most companies around COVID do. It was doing really well until COVID hit. Now, the business had initially had a deficit it's being reported, of $1.35 million, but the amount due is for a COVID loan. So they're selling the business, they're ready to retire, they're not ripping off the taxpayers. I agree, that is completely false information. They are not the only company to collapse due to COVID, and it's got nothing to do with taxpayers. I agree, I don't know why anybody's talking about it. And I totally agree with this Twitter user. The Middletons have paid taxes their whole life in the UK, whereas Doria, nope, she hasn't paid a dime. Where did all that money come from? Yeah, we know what's going on there. Moving on. Next up, they're saying that Meghan took every disagreement between Harry and William seriously. Obviously, since she never grew up with a sibling near her own age, and she was indulged, and she never had to learn how to share, and she never had to learn how to get along with a sibling, she doesn't understand it, especially when it comes to brothers. I'm an expert on that one. In the meantime, Harry's paranoia is definitely showing because Harry and William, we know, had a secret code, and the one time that William used it, Harry said he didn't believe him. So what's the point of having a secret code if you're not going to believe your brother when he uses that secret code? All right, here we go. People are going on about Meghan's nickname in the royal family. What about the rest of them? Have you heard of these? Cabbage, Fred, Gladys, Basher, Wombat, the Valkyrie, Babykins, Spike, Archie, the U-boat commander, and Tungsten. These are the nicknames. Now, who do they belong to? Here we go in order. Queen Elizabeth, King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince William, Prince Michael of Kent, Kate, the Princess of Wales, Prince Harry, Prince George, Princess Michael of Kent, and Meghan Markle. That's right, they have now confirmed that George's nickname was Archie. That's a little scary. Next up, this came up on Twitter. It's so typical. Harry and Meghan are having issues, so now this Pop Tings thing is coming out saying that William and Catherine are having issues, and they've been caught fighting. Like Sussex Squad. Is that really the best you can do? That's kind of pathetic. All right, next up, interesting. You know, Meghan was apparently there to watch Harry play polo. This happened quite some time ago, back when they were dating. Now, I saw the video, but I actually thought it was running backwards, because who gets caught rummaging in their boyfriend's car, gets told off by security, and they walk backwards to get away from security? It's very odd. I've never seen anything like it, but we have a video to show you. She got caught. Okay, so here we go. She's rummaging in the car. You can clearly see it. We don't know what she's looking for. Security walks up and says, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Well, I'm looking for something." Then this guy walks up and basically says, "Stop it." And she backs up behind the curtain. Did you guys see that? Here it is again. So like I said, when I first saw her doing that, I thought maybe somebody had run the tape backwards, because who backs up behind the curtain like that to get away from the security? So just watch. Guy tells her and she backs up behind the curtain. Yeah. And here's another one where she's backing away behind the curtain. You guys, that's like, she's backing away behind the curtain. That's so odd to me. Don't you guys think that's odd? All right, just a few more little things. First of all, I agree with Evans Einstein here. If Diana were alive, she would have been called a racist as well. But if she was alive, Harry would never have married Meghan. That's obvious. Also, I do believe that Meghan Markle ruined Gloria Steinem's, thing. Next year, nobody's going to be looking at the winners. They're all going to be talking about the fake pap walk. And I also agree with this person. While Meghan was supposedly worth millions, her mother was doing laundry at a laundromat. So apparently she didn't even think to buy her mother a washer or a dryer for her own home. Does anybody else find that odd, since supposedly she's so close to her mom? Really quickly, The Little Mermaid, it did not do well overseas. I guess people didn't like the whole Diana, Catherine screwing up her face thing. And apparently it's going to need a lot more money to even break even. That just doesn't surprise me. All right, let's roll into the ending now. All right, I thought you guys might find this interesting. You see this fence? This is on our property. It's this wire fence to keep Finn in. And you see how small the little squares are? So my husband's cutting the grass. He looks up and there's a baby deer on our property that came from the woods right back there. And he said the deer got back by squeezing itself through one of those little squares. I just can't even fathom. I wish he'd taken a picture. All right, guys, you know what I want. Make those comments good. Leave them below. Don't forget to double check. Make sure you're still subscribed. If you're not, hit that button again. Don't forget to go into my description box and get the link to my Twitter, Getter, Rumble, email, and my physical address. And for those of you who've donated to the coffee fund or through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.